Behind the towering, blinding glass of our modern skyscrapers lies this hidden reality that honestly, the world rarely dares to even look at. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're shining a spotlight directly on the invisible people, those living in the shadows of what feels like a shattered promise. We're going to explore some ancient survival stories from biblical texts, and as you'll see, the struggles back then, they perfectly mirror the harsh realities of today's economy.
Okay, let's dive into this. We hear it all the time, right? Our nation is the land of plenty. We picture this modern Eden, lit up by blinding neon lights, where every single need is met and literally every dream is within reach. It's like that original garden where every tree was pleasing to the eye. But here's the catch. For millions of people today, that lush garden has been totally replaced by the wilderness of survival. It's this cold landscape of concrete and harsh statistics. Sure, the abundance might look very good from a macro level, but down on the ground, it's a daily, painful reality for folks wandering restlessly within the exact same cities they helped build.
So that brings us to part one, the illusion of Eden. To really wrap our heads around this lost paradise, just look at this ancient consequence described in Genesis. Through painful work you will eat food from it. By the sweat of your face you will eat bread until you return to the ground. I mean, wow, that ancient decree perfectly mirrors the modern cycle of the daily grind, doesn't it? We see everyday people playing by the rules, working the ground until it literally yields nothing, just to earn a basic piece of bread. And the result? They end up feeling like complete strangers in a country they once thought was their own. Moving on to part two, the God who sees. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this incredible ancient Hebrew name, Elroy. It translates to the God who sees me. This concept actually emerged right out of the harshness of the wilderness, and its entire purpose is to recognize the profound dignity of the invisible, the marginalized. It takes the very people society completely ignores and assigns this ultimate eternal value to their sweat-stained faces and calloused hands. To really grasp the weight of this, we have to talk about Hagar. She is kind of the ultimate archetype of the unseen mother crushed by society. Think about it. She was a servant, cast out into a brutal desert, completely discarded. The text describes her staring at an empty skin of water, absolutely terrified. Can you imagine the crushing weight of being so unseen by a society that just moved on without her? She genuinely believed her child's life was about to end. It's the absolute terror of total isolation. But then, right in the thick of that isolation, she realizes she's actually recognized. She makes this incredible declaration, "I have now seen the one who sees me." And this is exactly what the modern struggle for survival is all about. Our cities are filled with resilient spirits who, just like Hagar, absolutely refuse to be erased once they realize their own inherent worth. They are seen and they matter. Which leads us into part three, surviving severe famine. Let's shift from the desert into the sharp reality of a starving economy, a sort of modern servitude where just the basic cost of living becomes a literal tax on your existence. Throughout history, we see these incredible archetypes of scarcity. You've got Hagar's empty water skin, you've got Jochebed weaving a papyrus basket with pure mother's courage to save her son from a destructive system. There's Ruth, a foreigner persistently gleaning leftover grain in unfamiliar fields just to provide for her family. And the widow of Zarephath, literally down to her last handful of flour. These stories, they completely mirror the daily resilience required by folks right now who are priced out of the American dream. So the crucial point is right here. There is a recurring detail in these texts, and it's the number 2. Think of the poor widow offering her 2 mites at the temple, or that widow of Zarephath preparing what she thought was her final meal. This number represents the absolute extremity of scarcity. It's that terrifying moment when the money is completely gone and you are down to nothing but your faith. Jesus highlighted this perfectly. He watched the wealthy making these massive, showy donations and then pointed straight to the poor widow, saying, she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on. He noticed this tiny, seemingly insignificant offering amidst immense wealth. And that proves that the true battle for survival isn't just about counting calories, right? It's about preserving human dignity when you have absolutely nothing left to give.
All right, part 4, no room in the inn.
It is a heartbreaking reality that this hidden, extreme poverty exists right in the shadow of overflowing storehouses and immense urban wealth. Picture it, an empty manger set against the backdrop of our towering, blinding neon skyscrapers today. A king who didn't arrive in some fancy palace, but was born in a humble stable because, as the story goes, there was no room for him in the inn. It reminds us that the Savior grew up not in the halls of power, but in a simple carpenter's workshop, working with calloused hands and intimately understanding the heavy weight of human labor. The teachings constantly contrast these two ideas. Treasures on earth, the wealth that moth and rust eventually destroy, with the true measure of a society, which is how we treat the hungry, the thirsty, and the least of these. It's just like the rich man who completely ignored the needs of those starving at his very gate, or the religious elite cleaning the outside of their cups while the inside remained full of greed. The profound lesson here? Human life is worth far, far more than material wealth. Period.
And finally, part 5, our brother's keeper. It's time to turn the lens directly onto ourselves. We have to confront Cain's ancient, haunting denial from Genesis, "Am I my brother's keeper?" After shedding his brother's blood, Cain tries to just shrug off the responsibility, but God tells them his brother's blood cries out from the ground. We have to seriously challenge ourselves today. Are we actually listening to the cries of the invisible that still rise from the concrete ground of our modern cities?
And this brilliantly illustrates that the hidden hunger isn't just a crisis. It is a loud, urgent call to awaken our spirits. We have to hear the invisible. We need to step out of the dark shadows of apathy and step into the light of active compassion. We've got to work toward building a world where no one is ever told there is no room for them. A place where the rejected stone can finally become the cornerstone of a totally new understanding. So the question is no longer what we've heard, but what we're going to do with this truth. Will we remain in the shadows of indifference, or will we step into the light to genuinely seek out the broken and the lost? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. If this journey into the heart of America's hidden reality moved you, hit that like button to spread the word, share the stories of those fighting to survive, and subscribe to join us in making a real change. See you next time.